Welcome back to Beers in the Shed. It's been a while between drinks, and this episode we'll catch up on what's been happening with our budget bush mechanic builds and give away prizes for all your best rigs and, of course, your biggest four-wheel drive fails.
Well, cheers guys, and welcome to another episode of Beers in the Shed. I tell you what, it's been a long time between Beers in the Shed, and that's mainly because we've been out filming a lot of epic content right around the country. Graham over in WA, he's been out on the road, I think, for about a month straight, which is absolutely insane. So, you know, he's got the goods. We've been driving a bunch of, well, you can see behind me, old Daryl's sitting behind me. We've been doing the Bush Mechanic Challenge. So I just finished that one. And in this episode, we're going to go through a lot of your questions about the Bush Mechanic. It's been absolutely massive on YouTube. It actually hit #1 on trending right around Australia. So that is epic, and a big thanks to you guys for supporting that one. So today we're going to go right through a bunch of questions you might have. Speaking to someone who's been out in the bush a lot, I've alluded to that before. Graham, are you there, mate? You on the line?
Mate, cheers. How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
How are you?
Good to talk
It's
to
been
you.
a long time since we've caught up.
Yeah, it's been pretty hectic, mate. I spent 31 days straight out there and only had 2 showers in that time, mate. So it was pretty.
2 showers?
It was pretty out there. It's absolutely stunning country, mate. You would have frothed on it. Some of the places I got into were, well, you'll see it, but next level, bud. Next level. Really, really good.
We've been doing the exact opposite of that, mate. When you think about epic scenery and just beautiful landscapes,
Yep.
you can see behind me, mate. Is that GQ?
The thing is, I haven't had much in the way of internet reception for quite some time now, and I got back in, and it seems like you've broken the internet, mate, because you've taken on board probably one of the greatest four-wheel drives ever made, which is, for a bloke like me, it's great to see that you're finally starting to listen to me.
Look, let's just say it's not one of the better vehicles out there. I've been stitched up like you wouldn't believe. I've got a Nissan in my driveway, and as you can see, the wheels are off it at the moment.
Yep.
I don't even know if it starts, actually.
What's with that paint job on the side? I reckon that is really you.
Well, I don't know. Is it a GQ thing, mate? I thought you could help me elaborate on this one. Apart from running real rough and that, it's got probably one of the worst paint jobs ever made on a four-wheel drive.
That's crazy. Who did that paint job?
I don't know, but that bloke should have probably put that money he spent on airbrushing to buying a Toyota. I know that for free, but we've had so many questions about the Bush Mechanic Challenge, and
mate,
it's been one of the biggest things we've done probably this year. So we're going to go through a bunch of questions that you guys have got on these vehicles, and also, like every episode of Beers in the Shed, we've got a stack of prizes to give away. We're going to be looking at fails. I reckon we get right into it, mate. What do you reckon?
Mate, yeah, I might take over this, because I reckon if I don't take over these questions, mate, you won't answer the most pressing ones. The first question we got is from Conbon, and he wants to know what your first thought was when the roller door opened up and that beautiful, beautiful automobile was presented to you.
Well, firstly, mate, I was terrified. Then the shock came over me, and then there's sheer embarrassment. And
yeah.
After
so
that,
it was similar to the first time you kissed a girl.
It's very similar, mate. Very similar. Unfortunately, this lasted a little bit longer, so and it's still here. So I definitely was stitched up in the whole game. But look, I think as any forward driver, you've got to stray outside your comfort zones, and I certainly did that with Big Daryl. And look, it's a love-hate relationship. It's been fun though. Overall, It's been absolutely fun. So look, I was a bit bummed when I first got it because, you know, firstly, I don't know, I've never worked on a GQ before, so I was out of my element straight away. The fact that it was the ugliest vehicle ever. You know, you try just going to the shops in that thing, mate. You just park it up in the shops. The good thing is no one parks next to you, so you always get like a free park. You can open your doors real easy at the car parks. But yeah, people take a pretty wide berth when they see you cruising up the road in Darryl, that's for sure.
Well, in that, there's obviously some pros there. Let's go into Schulz. He's got a question. He says, what's Shauno's pros and cons on the GQ? And mate, what would you change if you could add another 5K to the spend?
Oh, I'll tell you what, okay. I'm not going to lie, I've been hanging out with a mate of mine, Jesse, for a fair bit. He's a GQ fanatic. So
he is, yep.
I've sort of, I've come to love this vehicle a little bit. And if I had another $5,000 to spend on it, I would definitely chuck a front locker in it. And I've been told a GU diff and a front locker, and that would make that thing absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'd have probably a couple of grand left over. I'd fix the engine issues so I could actually run it quite reliably. Like get rid of the carby and maybe convert it to EFI would be a cool thing.
It's a carby model, is it?
Yeah, it's a TV42, mate. It's a carby model and very, very rough. In fact, it's more unreliable than a second-hand lawnmower, that thing. You got to warm it up. Like, I forgot, I haven't run around with carbies for a long time, and you got to warm them up. And, you know, like, it's a whole experience with Darryl. You got to go warm it up, leave it for 20 minutes. Yeah, then she's good to go sometimes.
Does she like it? Does she like a drink of fuel? I know I used to have one back in the day, and you could almost watch the fuel gauge go down.
I was going to say I thought it had a broken fuel gauge, mate, because the thing never sort of seems to go over halfway. It's always down on that, the bottom end of the scale. But in all honesty, like, it's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous.
JB, BTW, he wants to know, how did it feel to be in a different car without all the gadgets, all the bells and whistles that you're used to, mate?
To be honest, it was like taking me back to when I first got into four-wheel driving, and it was the most fun I've had in a four-wheel drive for probably about 5 years. And I own some pretty cool rigs, but and that's not one of them, I'll tell you that. And I just had so much fun. I had so much fun just because you had to think about driving lines. I wasn't twin locked. I'm only on a 2-inch lift, and you got to pick a good line and send it. And that just takes me back to grassroots four-wheel driving.
It does, mate. I think that's actually something that everyone should really, aim to get back into if they haven't, or start in that way, because it helps you pick a line, it helps you, everything about driving just comes back into play.
Exactly, and especially when I was going to, like, the Glasshouse Mountains on a stack of tracks I've already driven before, and to go steer this thing up some really, really tough little tracks, I mean, that's phenomenal. That thing could drive all these A-grade tracks, and it's an unlocked GQ with, under 5,000 built and bought. Like, that says something. So, for those people that have got excuses like, oh, I can't four-wheel drive because I can't afford it and stuff like that, you can have a lot of fun in a real budget vehicle with no mods. We've proven that.
Mate, Bailey would like to know, what's the hardest problem you've encountered with the stallion himself, Daryl?
The hardest problem was to get it to start and to run. We built the vehicle and did everything in it within that 24-hour time frame that we were given to build these cars, and then it took us like another 24 hours just to take it out of my driveway. It was really tough. We changed parts. We just threw parts at it because lucky Jesse's got mates with GQs. We actually stole parts off some of his mates' GQs while they were at work. No joking. And we ended up taking the parts out. And turns out it's only running slightly better. There's a few little things we need to do to it. It's just a little bit temperamental, but that's the hardest challenge.
Sure, mate. Harry wants to know how many Ks the GQ and the Luxie have.
Oh, I never actually checked, to be honest, but I'm going to say that they've got all the Ks. Like, I think the Luxie was about, I think the Luxie's about 400 or 450,000 Ks, which is quite a lot in a little 2.8.
Yep.
And the GQ, I don't know. I think that part of the dash is broken, to be honest.
Between the two of you, you're probably rubbing shoulders with $1 million between the two of you.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Pretty close too, mate. Surfy8, he's got a really good question here. He wants to know, do you think you'll ever change over to the Nissan Life after this? And he's got a little hashtag Patrol Power. I'd like to know the same thing, mate. Have you seen the Life?
It's a fantastic question, and I'm going to answer this really easily. No. Just done. No. Look, I love it. I actually really love this. And I'm going to stop everyone who's messaging me now on Instagram about can they buy Daryl. No, it's not for sale. You can't just, you've got to earn a car. You can't just go out and buy something like that. And Daryl's not going anywhere. I want to keep Daryl and just steer it around. And I don't know. I do like Nissans. I've always been a Toyota man, but there's something. I don't know. It takes you back to when you first get into full drive and you're steering a big GQ up a rock step. It's pretty cool.
Now, mate, I'm going to give you one last question before I'd like to get an opinion from someone that actually knows what he's talking about. But before we go there, Kieran would just like to know, and it's in the same vein as that last question, mate. You've had that one now. Would you consider buying yourself a new Nissan?
After I built every single Toyota ever made, I would. I'm not a car snob. I just like four-wheel drives, all four-wheel drives. And here's a little secret I'm going to share with you. I've always wanted to build a TD42 GU Ute, just a single cab one of those up. That's just an absolute high horsepower track eating machine. There was one on an old advertisement back in the print days of magazines that I saw that when I was first getting into four-wheel driving. It had 4 lights across its roof, parked up in the snow.
Was that the one that was done? It had. I think I know the exact. It did a dual shoot with another one that looked the same. Had a canopy on the back, a canvas canopy on the back. Absolute animal.
Shot in the snow. And when I saw that advertisement, I always thought I would love to build one of those. Being a Toyota man through and through, you've got to be able to appreciate a tough four-wheel drive when you see one. And I could get around a GU Ute. I reckon they're super capable.
I think the only downfall to driving one of those, especially like around shopping centres and things like that, would be just the amount of times you'd have to stop to women to be throwing themselves in front again. For me, I just don't have time for that, mate, these days. I'm a busy bloke,
that's why I drive the Dirty 30 and the 79 around, just to try and avoid that, mate. And I try and keep Daryl to an absolute minimum around the shops as well, because I live here and my neighbours are actually complaining because real estate values have just plummeted since I brought Daryl home.
Don't park it out the front, whatever you do, mate. That's just that's a licence.
No, the council will be back.
Yeah, would you mind if we did a bit of a cross now? If I could have a chat with old mate Jocko and just ask him a bit of the truth behind the. Behind the
Here we
mate.
go.
Would that be all right?
Okay, ask him about his last drive in the Little Pony.
Ask him about his last drive. I will do, mate. We'll just cross across to Jock. I'll be back in a second, mate. Hey, Jock, you on the line, mate?
Yeah, mate, gotcha.
Hey, good to talk to you, buddy.
Yeah, it's been a while. How you going?
Yeah, doing really well, mate. Now, listen, I've just run through a bunch of questions with Shauno with regards to this Bush Mechanics Challenge that you guys are blowing up the internet with. Yep. I'd like to now get the truthful side of it, mate. So I'm going to get you a bunch of questions from the readers out there, and we're going to get the actual truthful side of what's going on behind the scenes, mate.
I imagine Sean's been telling a few fibs as well, so it'd be good to set a few things straight.
You never know, do you?
Yeah.
You never know. Now, look, first up, mate, Jack wants to know what the best part about driving a budget rig is.
I reckon the best part was the fact that it was always surprising that it would drive things, if that makes sense. So because it was relatively stock, it was always such a great achievement when it got up something you didn't expect it to. Whereas if you build a vehicle and you twin lock it and put big tyres on and stuff, you pretty much always expect it to drive the things you want it to. But when a budget vehicle that you haven't done much to gets up an obstacle, I reckon that's one of the best parts. It gives you a big smile from ear to ear, as you might have seen.
Yeah, and I'm 100% behind you there. You've got no expectations, so if it does actually drive something, well, it's time to celebrate, mate. Tyler wants to know, did the Hilux prove to you that big muddies aren't really needed? Because he reckons you seem to drive that thing pretty well.
Yeah, well, I definitely reckon it gave it a red-hot crack. I think the thing that did let the Hilux down was clearance. Mainly the rear tow bar and stuff. We kept hitting that on rocks and stuff. So it definitely did get a fair way on 29-inch highway terrains or all terrains, which was pretty impressive, but a little bit more clearance, even just maybe some 33s or something like that would have gone a long way. That said, though, I reckon she did all right.
Yeah, for that skinny rubber, mate, I reckon you've really done well. Now, look, Cody wants to know, did that front locker have any impact on the steering? Because he's looking to get one for his 4Runner, mate. To
be honest, not as much as I thought. Because the way those lockers work, they're always locked. And they unlock when there is a loss of drive, like when you're to one wheel, like when you're turning a corner. I thought it would be quite hard to steer, but that little Luxie was fine on some of the tougher tracks. I think having the smaller tyres helped as well, but as you saw, it definitely helped how capable she was as well, which was really good. Yeah,
mate. Yeah, I was shocked. I saw some of those hills and I thought to myself, because I've driven them all before, and I thought to myself, there's no way. There's no way you're getting up that. And then next minute, there's Jock smiling at the top.
Yeah.
So, awesome, mate. Here's a generic question, bud. Jared wants to know, what was the best part about the entire challenge?
Oh, I just think it's the fun we had. I don't think I've had that much fun in a four-wheel drive for a very long time. And I think it's because, I'm always having fun when I'm out in the bush, but that was just so much fun because you're with your mates and you're just having an absolute ball on some vehicles you haven't spent a whole lot of money on, and I reckon probably the best part was driving through the mud, towing Sean through the mud. I was laughing about that for a good couple of hours after we finished. It was just, I just had a ball. It was sick.
No, I'm jealous, mate. I really wish I could have been there. It sounds like you guys had an absolute cracking thing. Now, mate, we've been asked quite a bit. You didn't get to choose the vehicles, obviously. Liam wants to know, if you could choose your own vehicle, do it all again, but you get to choose your vehicle, mate, what would you get?
Well, I think obviously, as people probably know, Hilux is my thing. But that said,
really,
yeah. But hang on, you might have guessed it, Graham. But no, I've actually kind of always wanted to build something a bit left of centre. Something like I've always thought, like Land Rovers and stuff like that. They're not as common, and coil springs all around like an old disco or something. I'm going to be sick to build something like that you don't see on the tracks every day. There's a fair bit of aftermarket support for them in those little niche Land Rover clubs and things like that. So I reckon it'd be cool to just build a left of centre vehicle like that and see how far you can actually take it. Because everyone's about, Toyota and Nissan all the time. It'd be cool to do something different, I think.
I have a feeling that would be an extremely capable vehicle too, with very few mods. I just think that would, the wheelbase, the coils all around, I just think it would go extremely well off-road.
That's my theory as well. So I reckon if I had my time again, I'd probably look at something like that.
All right, mate, one last question for you, and this one really is blowing up the internet. Everybody wants to know, including myself, what are the plans for the Luxie, mate? You're going to sell it? You're going to scrap it? Is it going to go down the back and become a chook cage? What are you going to do with it, mate?
Definitely not going to sell it. So Matt and I were pretty impressed with how capable that vehicle was. I would love to put just a modest lift in it, like 2-inch lift and maybe some 33s, and then do stuff to the driveline like low profile cross member and flipped U-bolts and stuff like that, just to give it a little bit more clearance. But keep it light and keep it capable. And I'd love to just see where I can take it, just as a light little beast that you can wheel around. I reckon it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely going to keep it and see where we can take it.
Okay, Jocko, mate, personal question from me.
Yep,
How did Shauno's driving really go, mate? I know you can wheel, but, I mean, I heard he was a day late, couldn't even get the thing started. How did he actually go out on the tracks, mate? How did it all pull together? Be honest with me.
Well, I'll tell you what, I decided to buy him a vehicle that needed a little bit of work done because I wanted to put him to the test a little bit, and I was genuinely surprised. I thought he'd be better on the tools than he was. He still drove it pretty well, only when Jesse was in the vehicle telling him where to go, so I reckon that's an indication of his skill, no doubt. Yeah, I'm not disappointed. I'm not angry either. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest.
Oh, mate, look, I trust you implicitly, and I know that answer would be 100% honest, but I am just going to go back now and just check a couple of details with him, if that's all right. And you and I are long overdue catching up for a beer, my friend.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it'd be your shout as well, to be honest, Graham.
Not a problem at all, mate. It's been that long. I'll happily do that. Catch you very soon, mate.
Take care, my man.
Shauno, well, there you go, mate. You've heard the truth straight from the horse's mouth, mate. You know Jocko does not lie. He's nothing but truthful, that young man, and it's always good to catch up with him too. It's been too long between beers.
Absolutely, mate. And look, speaking of truth, I thought I'd just chime in here a little bit as well, because the folks at home are probably sitting there scratching their head after hearing all that rubbish, and they want to know the real story behind that rollover, the infamous Hilux on its side. Now, if I can just take a second, Graham, I want to set the scene for you, mate. Can you imagine Jock and his mate Matt, the two biggest Hilux nerds in Australia potentially? So the whole trip, they're real serious, mate. Like I'm surprised they weren't wearing those fingerless gloves, like running around doing recoveries and stuff like that, with a little like a whistle and a stopwatch and stuff like that.
Fingerless gloves. Anyway, go on.
Well, Jocko wanted to bring a helmet because he thought he was in the comp scene and stuff. I said, Jocko, leave it at home, mate. You know, that's ridiculous. They were wearing matching shirts. I said, look, cut that out, boys. You don't need to go this length. We're just doing a bush mechanic challenge. And so
they're blokes, in other words.
They're taking it very, very serious. And we got to the last section. We've just done Little Red and all these hard tracks. We've finished the track. We're done. I can't believe the camera boys even kept the record button going because we'd done the track. And I look back and I just see this Hilux just flip on its side. The best thing about Jocko was so dirty. He was gutted. He loves Hiluxes in general. He loves four-wheel drives, and he was just a shell of himself.
Well, mate, I'm going to come to Jock's rescue here just a little bit, because I'd like to just remind you that you could have almost just taken Jock's name out of that and put the word commando in instead, and we'd have the exact same drive from you.
It was a fun few days, but look, he does provide the entertainment. And
This is true. Now, look, mate, I've got to do a question for you. There's been a lot of crap talk about the poor old GQ behind you there, which to my mind is one of the greatest vehicles ever built. But if you were given the choice, mate, and you could do the exact same challenge again, but you got to choose a vehicle, what do you reckon?
Far out. I wouldn't mind building like a Jeep up or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, call me crazy, mate, but I've always had a bit of a soft spot for like the old TJs. I thought they were really cool when I was young.
Oh, they can be turned into rock crawling, mud swishing animals if you want them to. And they've got every part on the shelf can be just bolted in. You don't even need to do any fab. Just get a new part, bolt it in. That's the beauty about them.
And the other beauty is I'm used to unreliable vehicles with old Daryl behind me, so get myself in a Jeep, I'll feel right at home.
Well, you've just alienated half the American audience. Well done, mate.
I want to get a Jeep.
I want to finish off this topic with one last question that's actually been breaking the internet. It's been on just about everywhere that I've looked since I've got home. And what's the plans for both those vehicles, mate? I mean, what are you going to do with old Daryl? Are you going to sell it, scrap it, keep it? What's the go? Well, the first things first, it's not for sale. So I'm going to stop. Well, you couldn't sell messages every day. Every day people want to buy those cars, and I don't know why. Like, they've seen how we've driven them. If we threw another 5K at those things and made them a sub $10,000 vehicle, you got yourself something that'll be quite reliable, an absolute machine off-road. So I think we keep them and keep wheeling them. Why don't I put it to the audience, see what you guys want to see done with these things. Do you want to see them again? I reckon, who knows? Let us know in the comments below, because I reckon they should make another appearance with a couple more mods and see how far we can take them. I reckon you could spend a 5K and get a trailer. That'd make it really reliable. Yeah, I know, it'd be the best mod for Daryl. Just tow it somewhere. It actually would be. It would be very good. Goodness gracious. No, mate, I tell you what, I got back into reception and you boys look like you've had an absolute blast out there. You've broken the internet, and it's just a pity I couldn't have been out there with you. So I wouldn't have been able to do much on the spanners, but Yeah,
You
I would have had an
loved it,
absolute
mate.
ball.
You would have absolutely loved it. But it sounds like you had a lot of fun too, mate, just travelling around some of the most exotic places in Australia.
The only tough time I really had out there, and this is a true story, I was camped on a beach in the middle of nowhere all by myself. Big lagoon it was, crystal clear water. There was no palm trees because, of course, I'm in the sort of edge of the desert. This big bus rolls up, a massive big bus rolls up and parks next to me. And I thought, crikey, it's a bit rude, this big bus. Anyway, it turns out it was the Swedish women's netball team. They're on a training camp.
And they probably asked you, do you know where we can find a good-looking bloke? And they probably just kept driving, did they?
Well, they didn't speak English, mate, but I tell you what, we communicated in the best way we could, and it was hot out there. And I won't go into too much more detail, but that was the biggest problem I had out there, mate.
It sounds like you've definitely swallowed too much bull dust over that last month, mate. That's
Drank a fair bit of seawater.
I want to also take this opportunity as well to put a bit of a shout out to our social media streams. You've been saying they've been blowing up, mate, and that's absolutely right. They've been going crazy. And one of the reasons is we've just given away $25,000 worth of prizes on Facebook. So if you haven't joined our Facebook page or our Instagram page, that is where a stack of action happens behind the scenes. And people ask us, how do you come along on a trip with you blokes? How do you, win prizes, all that sort of stuff? Join our social media streams because there's content going out every single day, and that's the one little community you definitely want to be part of.
And speaking of that, mate, I've got a question for everyone out there in social media land. I'd like to know, with this massive amount of content that we're currently putting out, what are people keen on seeing? Obviously, the Bush Mechanic Challenge has gone absolutely bloody nuts, but where do people want to see us going? Do we want to see more farm tracks, Bush Mechanics build-ups? Is anyone waiting to see my adventures out there? The Swedish netball team will not be on film because they wouldn't sign the waivers, but there's plenty of other bits and pieces out there. They want to see the Dirty 30. I mean, I'm pretty keen to see that bad boy up and running. I'd really like you folks at home to leave a comment below. What do you want to see more of?
There's no doubt that the boys gave their rigs an absolute pummeling while on the tracks. And if you jump over to our Facebook or Instagram, you'll be able to check out a walkthrough of the rigs post-trip. Make sure you give it a look.
Well, guys, the part of the show you've no doubt been waiting for, and the part of the show that Graham can probably bestly relate to, the four-wheel drive fails. So just like every week when we do Beers in the Shed, we have a prize for your best fails, and this week's prize is a $100 gift voucher from Snatch Clothing. So it's going to be one winner, but let's first get into a stack of your fails. They always say a little bit of momentum is the key to a good drive. Sometimes you can go a little bit too hard on the right foot. Have a go of this. Holy heck. Now, because of Pajero, it's probably half all right, but...
Have a look at the air under the front wheels, mate. That's some serious airtime.
It's one of those things where I bet you he's driving a Pajero, he doesn't want to get stuck in front of his mate, so he's like, you know what, I'm going to absolutely send this. Look at Jason. Absolutely bogged, and that does look tidal. That looks horrible. Look at that. That's...
No, I don't want to be there. Thank you very much. If ever I have a chance to do that, I'm going to say no.
Absolutely horrible. The bonnet's up. Yep. There's a stick holding the bonnet up, and things aren't in a good situation. Now, check this one out, Graham. The first thing you want to do when you're going for a fish is try and find a little bit of structure. Put those lures close as you can to the structure. That's where the fish live. And Cody came across a funny little bit of structure underwater. It looks like a Nissan Patrol or a Hilux or some sort of vehicle. It's so deep you can't even tell. Mate. It's a GU. Far out.
Oh my
underwater.
Goodness, that's well and truly underwater.
Imagine coming across that when you're fishing.
Would you have a cast?
I definitely would. Before I rang anyone or tried to do anything about that, I'd have a couple of casts underneath the tray, see if there's a jack under there, and I'd be putting a swim bait just around the front of the bonnet. There might be a barra under there. So
I reckon a live prawn straight down in the front windscreen.
Imagine
there
that.
Might be something.
Imagine
there might
that.
be a big barra just trying to drive it out of there. You never know.
And then I'd call for help. There's been so many times where on our adventures, mate, we've opted to try and go for a shortcut. It ends up taking us about 4 times as long. Well, have a look at Shannon, mate, with a really tidy 79 series as well. Decided to take a little bit of a shortcut so close to the main road and ended up completely flooding his vehicle, stuck in the mud.
He's had to winch over the road.
I know, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Things have definitely gone, they've gone pear-shaped. And he's probably thinking to himself, why? Why did I zig when I should have zagged?
It was that moment that he thought. Yep.
It's all gone wrong.
Speaking of going wrong.
Exactly right. Have a look at Lucas. That's a typical Jocko drive, just up on the side. And look at it. Look at it go.
Using your doors for traction.
Oh, exactly right. Try and use every bit of traction you can, I reckon. So yeah, your doors, your windows, your mirrors, just everything. Just send it. This one here, look, a little bit irresponsible, not tying down your load. They've got a spare tyre on the roof. I don't know whose job that was to put the strap over that.
No, not tyre lots.
Mate, they should be sacked because look what happened here. No one wants that to happen.
That reminds me of Jocko again. Remember we were out and his spare tyre came off? Now, look at this one here, mate. This one reminds me of trips we've been out on where you and I have both just gone a little bit too hard on the old Sendy pedal, and our poor camera guys have come up a little worse for wear. Look at that.
It's happened a few times, doesn't it?
Nailed him. Absolutely
tells me.
nailed him.
Well, mate, speaking about when things go completely pear-shaped, have a look at Amber. Amber down in Christchurch, New Zealand. Big shout out to the New Zealand crew. Stuck as they come. And the tide came in as well. Got even worse. The vehicle was stuck. Windows broke, sunroof broke. Just not a good day to be out in the tracks. Well, it's going to be one winner. And this week, for the best fail of the week, we're giving away a $100 Snatch Clothing gift voucher. This week's prize goes to Luke, and Luke has an absolute shocker. It looks like,
Jeez.
it looks like the high country, but
Yeah.
it's just, and if it is, it's very, very steep, obviously down there. Rollover, vehicle is completely written off. To make things even worse, he's broken the windscreen and actually ruined the Snatch Clothing sticker on the windscreen. So look,
Yeah,
that's a
there's no getting
tragedy.
that off.
Absolute tragedy, Luke. We're going to send you a $100 gift voucher, mate. So look, you'll at least be able to replace that sticker.
Yep.
For the rest
and
of the vehicle.
some more bits and pieces. No, we can't.
Yeah,
help
exactly
the rest of
right.
the
We
vehicle.
can't help with the rest of the vehicle, but look, that's when things go wrong. Hopefully you had insurance, and
No one was hurt. That's the main thing, mate.
That's absolutely savage. That's a proper rollover, that one. That's a real one.
That's a big one, folks. As you can see, prizes galore. We go through as many of the four-wheel drive fails as we possibly can. Heck, we could make an entire show, given the number of four-wheel drive fails. If you want to be included, all you got to do is fail. We know you're all good at that. And then put it up on a social media platform of your choice and use the hashtag 4WD247fails. Four-wheel drive 24/7 fails. We'll search for it, and you could be the next big failure on our show.
Exactly right, and hopefully win a prize.
Now, Shauno, mate, I've got an interesting fact here for you. Did you know that there are currently around about 10,000 posts out there now with the hashtag 4WD247rigs? That's a heck of a lot.
10,000 posts.
So if you're looking for some inspiration to build yours up, maybe you could have a look, Shauno, for Daryl. Just search hashtag 4WD247rigs.
I should put
might
Daryl up under that hashtag, mate, because might be able to give some
Yeah.
inspiration to other guys wanting a really slick paint job or some really cool custom airbrushing.
Probably shouldn't, just from one mate to another. Hey, listen, something you're not going to win, mate, is the winner this week, of course, is going to get themselves Terraloom lights. We're running them ourselves now. Absolute ball terror
Red
lights.
hot.
They are the bees knees, mate.
You haven't owned spotties until you had a set of Terralooms in the front of your truck. They're insane.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, they are very, very good lights. We've got 3 contenders this week and a couple of quickfire rigs, so if you're okay with it, mate, I reckon we get stuck straight in. Have a look. I don't think this is a highlight. I don't think this Luxie should be up in Weaver, mate. It looks too straight and new to me. Look at it.
I know. How good is it? He's done a number on it too. Fully rebuilt the thing.
He has.
And he's also
Absolutely.
new paint job, everything like that.
Yep.
Absolute
What do you think of
weapon.
that bar on the front, mate? Are you rated or what?
It's like a rock crawling
Stinger bar.
style bar, but I just like the
Yeah.
fact it's custom. He hasn't just bought
Yep.
it off the shelf. He's
Yep.
put his own little touch on this, and he's obviously done this whole build himself by the looks of things. So I reckon hats off. When anyone does that and goes outside the square, doesn't do another 79 series epic build, I reckon hats
Oh
off.
God. If I never hear that again, mate, I'll be happy. Speaking about doing something a bit different, have a look at this one here. This is a Navara that it looks like he picked it up for a song, an absolute bargain. Had some engine problems. He's gone and put the old, behind me here, the old D-Max engine at the 4JJ1 engine. That thing is going to get up and boogie, and I reckon it looks
Look at
pretty
that.
darn sick.
That's really cool. He's Raptor coated it too in like a sandy taupe colour with a black
Yep.
bar work. Holy heck. It looks like
yeah,
a
that looks sick.
four-door version of the Dirty 30. Like, I put it out there. Can I borrow it if if you need a little replacement for the 30? That's an animal.
Have a look at this one here. This is obviously gets wheeled. I was about to make the ultimate sort of insult and say it looks a bit more clawish, but it's not. It actually gets wheeled. Have a look at this
Yeah.
Ranger. Claire's built it up. Sassed Ranger. Holy heck.
Ranger. I don't think I've ever seen one of those before. That is
No, I said not
that is a
flash.
really
Look
cool
at it.
looking build. Really cool
It
build.
looks tough, doesn't it? It looks mean.
Yep. Black on black,
very
keeping it
mean.
gangster. Look at it.
That's it. Keeping it gangster now, mate. Contender number 1. We got Blake here with. I don't reckon you get a GU and turn it into a winch truck, and they just look mean. Have a look at that thing, mate.
Oh, right. Is that a winch truck? I thought it was a Tourer. Looks like your GU a bit.
It's absolute weapon of a thing, mate. Would you own that?
Oh, I would. I'd be scared to use it. Look at the flex that thing's got. When it can flex more than the height of yourself, that's you're dealing with something pretty serious there.
Now, Blake describes this monster GU as a daily that went wrong and actually started life as a humble farm ute. Blake started doing some mods to the TD42 and reckoned things began to get a little out of hand. Now classing the 4B as a tough social wheeler, Blake reckons the build isn't finished, but already the mod list is pretty impressive. There's a front and rear forelink, repositioned front diff, shock hoops, 18-inch coilovers, custom front shaft, twin lockers, 85% reduction gears, full hydro steer, chrome ollie CVs, front and rear winches, bucket seats, full external roll cage, and 39.5-inch boggers. Blake drowned the TD42 at Land Cruiser Park and has since converted to an LS1 Auto. Mate, I cannot wait to see what you do next to the big red truck.
Mate, you're a big fan of these overlanding kind of vehicles. Johan, with a Unimog, mate, you secretly have always had a bit of a soft spot for the unis.
Any like truck in a four-wheel drive application, whether it be a big Canter, a Unimog, a man truck, I've just always wanted to drive one, and man, that doesn't get much better than a fully rebuilt Unimog like that. That's absolutely epic. He's done a number on that.
I'm Johan, and that's my Unimog.
This amazing 1985 inline 6 5.7 litre Unimog comes from Johan in Cape Town, South Africa. When Johan purchased the truck, it was in pretty rough shape after a hard life working in the forestry industry. Johan's completely stripped it down to bare metal and started restoration from the ground up. The Unimog is now twin-locked with 415mm of ground clearance. It features a crawler box with 8 forward and 4 reverse gears, 120 litres of diesel, modified tray and roof rack, Jeep headlights, reupholstered interior, and rebuilt original dials modernised with LEDs. Once lockdown eases, Johan plans to build a camper setup for the back of the truck. What a weapon!
Alrighty, mate, we can only have one winner this week, and I have decided to give it to Braden with the LN106. Have a look at this beast, will you?
Braden has put together one heck of an LN106 build with this one, featuring some serious suspension and driving upgrades. The Hilux runs rears up front with banana shackles, custom shock towers, and 12-inch travel shocks. At the rear, there's LN167 rear springs, 200mm rear shackles, and inverted 14-inch travel shocks. The steering box is from an LN167 with an added high steer kit, plus there's a plated front chassis, braced front diff, and front and rear lockers. The Hilux is fitted with reduction gears and a 4.88 diff ratio and runs on 37-inch tyres with beadlock rims. To finish it off, Braden's wrapped the entire rig in Raptor smoke grey, plus fitted bar work, winch, and a UHF.
Well, Shauno, I reckon you'll agree, mate, that the last little cherry on top there will be a set of Terralume lights for that rig, because it looks to me like it's pretty much got everything else dotted the I's and crossed the T's on that bad boy.
Absolute animal, mate. Absolute animal.
Now, as I said at the top of this section, mate, over 10,000 posts with the hashtag 4WD247 rigs. So look, folks, if you want to stand a chance to be in this competition, the better you make your photos, the more they stand out, because now just the hashtags alone ain't going to do it for us. We're now looking at actual rigs. We really want to see. It's where your photography skills are going to have to come into play, Shauno. If you want to get Big Daryl on there, you have to get down low, make it look good.
What do you reckon the best angle is? The rust in the rear quarter or the dodgy horses painted on the bonnet that are faded? I don't know.
I reckon if you were to get up, maybe use a drone and get up maybe 120, 150 feet in the air, I reckon that'd be a pretty good angle on it.
Yeah, I like that. To go for the artistic sort of, I get it.
That's it. So, folks, please keep using the hashtag, but also make those photos absolute crackers so that we can find them. You might just get on here. Mate, that's about us for the week. What do we got coming up?
Oh, mate, there's so much cool content coming up. One of which I can't wait to see your Oz Solo adventure, which is coming up real soon. That'll be epic, mate, to see what you get up to by yourself out in the bush.
Yeah, some of it can't be seen, some of it can.
We should retitle it, Graham and all his mates out in the bush. I like that.
Yeah, there's only me and 24 Swedish netballers, mate. It was
here we go.
Hard getting them all in frame, I tell you what.
We've got that one. We've got our East versus West challenge, which is pretty epic. That was a lot of fun down in Coffs Harbour. Jocko and Clydo on the East Coast with me, of course, and driving tough tracks, and you were on the West Coast, mate.
Wait till the folks see what we got up to. That West Coast that I went to, stunning. Paradise on earth out there. Yeah. Absolute paradise on earth, mate.
We've also got the Dirty 30, mate. It's, little sneak preview of the Dirty 30. We're going to do the final build-up episode on that, where we go nuts on this thing. I mean, like, the most insane 12-volt system you've ever seen. I've got a rooftop tent on it now. It's epic,
really?
Man. Yeah. I've got like a hard shell rooftop tent. one of Drifter's ones. It's insane. You've got to see it to believe it, mate. It's just, it weighs like 45 kilos and actually suits the vehicle so well. We actually take it for its first shakedown as well. So, you know, there's so much to look forward to on this channel.
Mate, I tell you what, I can't wait for these borders to open up so I can come across and take that Dirty 30 for a good spin, a good hard drive. Just really get in it.
I want you to, mate. I want you to.
Oh.
It's actually drives really good. It's been down. The auto's been tuned by Wholesale Automatic, so it drives perfectly. We've also done an engine tune as well, so it makes a stack of power. It drives beautifully like a modern car.
Oh. Sounds like the ultimate four-wheel drive. It could be.
I'm in love with it. I'm absolutely in
four-wheel
love with it. And I can't wait to share the first ever adventure with that vehicle and see how it goes. I'm a little bit concerned though, because we've been building it for 3.5 years and we're about to take it off-road. I actually have not driven this thing off-road until the very first trip, so you're going to see all the action right here. Oh, it might do. I don't even know if it goes in low range yet. Who knows? But you'll see all the action, no doubt.
Well, folks, I reckon in order to keep up with what we're doing, because as you can tell, there is so much going on, please keep in touch with everything across all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, of course, because there's a heap of content going up there. And on all of this, please leave your comments, because we love to hear from you. We do go through each and every one of them and get back to you, or include your comments on Beers in the Shed. So, mate, I hope you and the boys are having fun over there. I've got to go and do some editing, because that's probably my least strong point, mate. Spending time behind a computer is not something I enjoy doing, but I've got to go and do it.
Sounds fair.
So I'm going to raise a glass. Cheers,
yeah,
buddy.
Mate. All right, cheers. I'm going to get some wheels on Big Darrell so I can wheel it out of the way of my shed and get a real vehicle in there. But I'll catch you next time, mate.
Good on you, mate. Treat that GQ with the pride and joy it deserves. Cheers, buddy.
We'll have to find a bigger hammer. All right, catch you, mate.